Hello everyone, this is SaberRex. On this channel, we dive into and analyze book and film franchises such as Primitive War, The Inheritance Cycle, and so much more. Today, in this unscripted review, I would like to give you my thoughts on the Primitive War novel and do an in-depth analysis of the movie, as well as understanding everything that compares to the novel and how it differs across it. So without further ado, welcome one and all. Before we go any further, I would also like to post a spoiler warning. This is going to contain major spoilers from the plot, so if you don't want to listen to this, stop the video now and go see the film before you come and view this video. If you're okay with spoilers, then stay tuned, because we're about to go in depth. So, starting off with Primitive War, in regards to how I got to see it, I went to see it on August 24th, 2025. Originally, my plan was to see it on the 21st when it came out, because August 21st is also my birthday. So I was really excited by that possibility. Unfortunately, that was not to be. Now, you might ask why. Well, my dad and I, we often work together to do odd jobs, and on this particular day, before I went back with him, he had to do an odd job, and the two theaters where Primitive War was showing, their only opening time slot for the film was at 7 o'clock p.m. Unfortunately, by the time my father finished up with the job, it was too late to go, and even if we had managed to get there in time, we wouldn't have made it. Yeah, we wouldn't have made the film. So we instead decided to try again on the 23rd. That didn't work out either, because it was not scheduled to play that day. Kind of ironic. But the next day, we came back to the theater we had chosen, and yeah, we got to see it. Now, before we had gone to see Primitive War, the movie, I had been reading Primitive War, the novel, to my father. I have one of the rare first editions that are still around, but are relatively hard to find. And yeah, I have been reading this to him every time we're in the car, every time we're traveling, because that's very important, and I love sharing this book with him. And now that I've shared the movie with him, he now has a better understanding of what the characters are like, and he'll be able to visualize it better in his head as I'm reading it to him. So that's a win-win in my book. But yeah, Dad absolutely loved it just as much as I did. By far, it is one of the greatest movies that we have gotten to see involving dinosaurs. And I'll explain why as we go throughout this video. But I'd like to take some time to do some comparisons between the book and the movie and showcase how the characters compare, how the dinosaurs compare, how the plot compares, and then I'll give you my final verdict on it. But yeah, let's dive in. So, first and foremost, in regards to the characters, yeah, the main characters, of course, were Vulture Squad, as many who are familiar with Primitive War have read in the books. Now, this Vulture Squad is comprised of 7 members: Ryan Baker, Eli Taylor, Gerald Keyes, Logan Stovall, Leon Varn, Charlie Miller, and Xavier Wise. Now, interestingly enough, some of the ranks and depictions of the characters changed somewhat throughout the film as compared to the books. And I will discuss that right now. Let's start with Ryan Baker himself. In the book, Ryan is the captain of Vulture Squad. In the movie, he is a first-class sergeant. Now, I'm not entirely sure why this was changed, but I think it has to do with age and the appropriate rank for that age. Not to mention the fact that, unless you get a battlefield promotion, you're not likely to rise through the ranks as quickly as the characters in the book did. Now, one of the other things that, of course, is very interesting in regards to Ryan Baker is that in the books he has terrible wounds and scars that mean he has to wear a mask. Or rather, I should say, a balaclava. Now, in the film, he doesn't have any of those scars or those outfit features. He doesn't wear any mask. And from a logical standpoint, I understand why they made this change in the movie. First and foremost, they filmed Primitive War in Australia, and Australia is, of course, a hot, humid, and arid place, depending on where you go. If Ryan Baker's actor, Ryan Quentin, had actually worn a balaclava on the set, it would have been absolute murder on him. He would have been trying to tear it off at every opportunity. He would have had a hard time breathing, and it would have also been hard for people to read his expressions as well. So, yeah, I understand completely why they made that change. Plus, with Ryan's injuries in the books, if that had been equated to real life, that would have gotten him sent home on an immediate automatic discharge for war injuries. But, yeah, I understand it and completely why that happened. I mean, they also explain that he still has the trauma of losing his first squad and his captain, Adam McNeil. But yeah, the scars and the balaclava were taken out of the equation because of feasibility reasons, and honestly, logical reasons that would have prevented that from ever happening to begin with. It's great for the book, but not for a movie where you need to see people's expressions. Now, in regards to some of the other characters, such as Xavier Wise, played by Adolphus Whaley, and Charlie Miller, played by Albert Mwangi, or Mwangi, I should pronounce correctly. Sometimes I get a little tongue twisted. Anyway, Albert and Adolphus are black actors, and yeah, I have no problem with that in regards to the portrayals they brought to the characters. But it is interesting to note that their ethnicity was changed in the movie. For example, Xavier Wise, in the books he is of half Cherokee descent. And in the film he is of African American origin. Now, I am curious if in the film he is also half Cherokee, half African American. If so, that's very, very cool. If not, I'm not bothered by it, but it is interesting to note. Additionally, for Miller, he was also changed to being African American, as I said, but at the same time, he is described as having red hair in the book and speaking with a Brooklyn accent. We really don't see that in the film, or at least I couldn't hear it in the film. Maybe I'm wrong, but it is interesting to note. And one other thing I'd like to say, going back to Xavier, is that being of Cherokee descent in the books, Xavier is described in Primitive War, the novel, as having very long hair as that's tied back in a ponytail. He does not have that in the movie, so that's another interesting change. Nothing to be bothered about, but again, it is notable in regards to the differences between them. I personally just find it interesting. Now, regarding the character of Logan Stovall, played by Aaron Glenane, that was very interesting too. In the books, Logan is portrayed as being very reserved, and of course, he is schizophrenic like he is in the books, but at the same time, Logan is a bit more open about it. He's a bit more open with his diagnosis. In the books, the only person he tells about this is his best friend and spotter, Gerald Keyes. Gerald's portrayal, which was done by Anthony Ingruber, was pretty much spot on in regards to his character. I mean, they really did not change much, if anything, at all about his character. And honestly, there was really no need to. He was... Yeah. Ingruber did an incredible job portraying Gerald. But as for Logan, Aaron Glenane brought this nuanced trauma to the character that is hard to visualize, despite how well it's described in the book. I mean, you just see it. You just see it fleshed out so well in the movie, with Aaron's depiction of Logan, that you really feel bad for the guy. And yeah, he really did a good job of bringing the character to life. I mean, I really, really felt bad for him. Yeah, Nick Weschler also was great as Eli Taylor. I mean, he did a fantastic job with him. One thing I would like to note is that in regards to some of Eli's weapons in the movie, very different from what we see in the book. Yeah, in the book he's described as carrying an Ithaca shotgun, but yeah, he tends to rely more on a grenade launcher attached to an M16-1A. But yeah, just a minor difference that I honestly think about. Otherwise, Eli is portrayed exactly as he is in the book, as being a struggling alcoholic and pretty much always back to back with Miller, because the two of them are very tight. In the books, it's described that they rescued one another in Who City, and at the same time, this is carried over to the movie. So that's a nice little bit of yeah, that's a bit of nice detail that was carried over and very well portrayed. But yeah, it is interesting. It's also interesting to note that of all the characters in Vulture Squad that perish throughout the movie, and and there is a major spoiler alert coming with this. It's interesting to note that in addition to Logan and Miller and Gerald, that Eli dies as well. I mean, in some ways, the deaths of these characters are largely the same, where they sacrifice themselves or are eaten alive by dinosaurs, but at the same time, the manners of their deaths are in some ways different. For example, instead of getting torn to pieces by the Utah Raptors, Gerald sacrifices himself in the bunker so that the rest of Vulture Squad can escape. Miller dies in battle with the character of Conan, just like in the books, or very close to how he dies in the books, but at the same time, the manner of his death is very different, and it happens later in the movies. I mean, in the books, Miller dies by blowing himself up along with the radioactive waste shipments that are being shipped away from the valley by the Viet Cong leader Conan and his forces. Instead, Miller dies in battle against Conan himself and blows himself up to kill himself and Conan. Eli ends up getting eaten alive in a similar manner to Gerald to how Gerald dies in the books. When in the books, Eli actually ends up surviving and becomes the new member of Vulture Squad. Well, the new captain of Vulture Squad, I should say. And Logan's death is very different in the movie as well. Logan dies getting eaten alive by a pack of Deinonychus. In the books, he's actually pursued by these giant prehistoric crocodiles called Caprosuchus when he tries to lead them away from the rest of the squad, and he ends up getting eaten alive in the books. In the movie, however, once he manages to lure as many Deinonychus away as possible, Logan kills himself so that the Deinonychus can feed while distracting them long enough to allow the rest of Vulture Squad to escape and finish their mission. It's very, very interesting, to say the least. But it does carry that same act of self-sacrifice. Now, there is a new character that is also added into the movie that is not in the books. And this character replaces a major character in the books. The character in question is Andre Wynn. In the movie, he is replaced by a woman by the name of Sophia Wagner, played by Tricia Helfer. Now, in addition to being replaced as a character, Andre Wynn's character shares many things in common with Sophia Wagner. Sophia is also an expert on dinosaurs like Andre Wynn. She is also a morphine addict like Andre is in the book. And she is also traumatized by the fact that General Grigory Borodin wiped out her team, including the man who was her husband. And it is implied, I'm not entirely sure, but it seems to be implied that a figure not dissimilar to Andre Wynn was actually Sophia's husband in the story of the movie. Again, I'm not entirely sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong on this. But yeah, very, very interesting. And yeah, I think it was very, very cool, the role she played, where she was the dinosaur expert, and Ryan helped her to get over her morphine addiction throughout the course of the movie. Yeah. Now, onto the character of General Jericho, Amadeus Jericho. In the movie, as opposed to the book, where he is a general, it's never stated what rank of general he is, but in the movie, Amadeus Jericho, who is played by Jeremy Piven, is a colonel instead of a general. This, I think, is logical, considering how my dad discussed with me the rank you would have at a certain age, because my dad did serve in the Army for a while as a company clerk, well before I was born, and he made the rank of first lieutenant. But yeah, he's right in regards to what age you might make colonel or major, unless you somehow got a battlefield promotion. But yeah, I really liked how Jericho was portrayed in the movie. In the books, he's really nasty, very, very authoritative, and very, very gruff, and he does not like to give out information freely. But in the movie, he was a lot less hostile. As a result of his rank, he was a bit more outgoing and a little bit more disbelieving, without it being particularly nasty or manipulative. But at the same time, he does still carry that arrogance and the fact that he keeps secrets from his men that put them in danger. Either way, I really liked how Jeremy Piven portrayed General Jericho. It really worked, and he really made him seem at least somewhat relatable as a character. Now, one of the other things I learned is that Conan, the Viet Cong militant, was basically gender bent for the movie, played by a woman named Anna Tu Nguyen. And I honestly quite like the change, now that I understand more about this. More about this than I did before. And I gotta say, Anna's portrayal of Conan kind of reminds me of the unnamed woman in the Season 8 episode of MASH known as Gorilla My Dreams, where a North Korean and civilian basically turned into an enemy gorilla and tried to kill a patient in the hospital of that episode of MASH. And I can understand why they made that portrayal. As I'm relating Miss Wynn's portrayal of Conan to this similar scenario from this other TV series. But I really liked the change, and I really liked the fact that Conan still gets the fight with Miller that leads to both of their deaths, and I really enjoyed it. I also thought it was interesting how Conan was more of a guide for the Russian squad, consisting of Tolstoy Asimov, Nikita, Sergei Medvedev, and Alexander. And that's another thing I want to cover as well. The Russian death squad known as the Dogs of War. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to find the names of those characters, well, the actors who portrayed these characters, and I really thought that was a little bit disappointing on my part when I was making this video. But it was interesting how their roles changed slightly. I mean, two of the characters meet their deaths the same way as they do in the books. Those characters being Alexander, who is killed by Cyclops, the Utah Raptor, and Tolstoy, who is killed by Quetzalcoatlus, the giant flying pterosaurs. And their deaths were both incredibly brutal, just like they were in the books. And yeah, it was intense watching that happen. But at the same time, yeah, they did manage to engage the characters of Vulture Squad earlier on in the story than they originally were meant to in the book. Yeah, in fact, they almost never engage with Vulture Squad at all in the book, instead going straight to Jericho's base and kidnapping the character, which is another key difference from the film. And yeah, their deaths were also pretty different in regards to Sergei and Nikita. In the books, Sergei gets eaten alive by Utah Raptors while helping Vulture Squad to take down Borodin and his collider. But Nikita in the books is shot in the head by Borodin himself. However, in the movie, Sergei survives, and Nikita is also eaten alive by Utah Raptors. And they both end up teaming up just before Nikita's death with the American forces to stop Borodin from destroying everything by using the collider. Now, one of the other things I should note is that Borodin, the Russian general, his death is also similar to, but different than that of his book counterpart. In the movie, he gets eaten alive inside the base by the Utah Raptors. In the books, however, he gets dragged away by the Raptors, and he gets taken back to their nests to feed their chicks. And he is eaten alive from the inside out by those chicks. It's very, very brutal, but it's a well-deserved end for such an evil character. But yeah, very, very interesting. And one of the other things that's also interesting is, Jericho's involvement in the final battle. In the final battle, he was, and the events leading up to it, he was taken hostage by the Dogs of War, the Russian group of soldiers. And yeah, he was held prisoner until Vulture Squad managed to free him and convince Sergei to join them in stopping the collider. But yeah, it's very, very interesting. Yeah, it's very, very, very interesting that he actually fought alongside Vulture Squad in gunning down as many dinosaurs as he could until they were able to escape. So yeah, that was a very interesting change in that book. Well, in that regard to the book and the movie. Now, on to the dinosaurs themselves. The dinosaurs were absolutely fantastic, and they were very well done. I mean, there were a few shots where the CGI didn't look the best, but they were very, very fleeting, and honestly, they don't mess much up at all. I mean, honestly, I found it hard to tell where the scenes were somewhat a little more badly animated. But honestly, those scenes were, again, few, far between, and very, very brief. Like, only a few seconds, if that. So it did not detract much, if anything, from the movie. Now, there were many dinosaurs that are both in the book and in the movie. I mean, you have Utah Raptor, you have Deinonychus, you have Tyrannosaurus Rex, you have Quetzalcoatlus, you also have Triceratops and Amargasaurus and a few others. But Additionally, there were some dinosaurs that I saw that were not in the book to begin with, and have not yet appeared in the novels of the franchise at all. Among others, I saw Lambeosaurus, Edmontosaurus, not to mention Spinosaurus, and that was arguably the biggest change. Spinosaurus was actually brought in as an alternative to Caprosuchus, the giant, possibly semi-terrestrial crocodile that appears in the books. From what I found out from a couple other people who apparently read Luke Sparke's interview, who's on the actual movie, apparently Caprosuchus was hard to distinguish for the test viewers from modern crocodiles. So they replaced it with something a little more recognizable as a dinosaur or a prehistoric animal. And in that case, that was Spinosaurus, since it occupies a similar niche and can be just as nasty and dangerous. One of the other dinosaurs of note that was not in the book was the sauropod Dreadnoughtus, which I initially mistook for an Apatosaurus because of the angle of the movie trailer in which you see it appear for the first time. But yeah, Dreadnoughtus was absolutely a breath of fresh air to see. It was nice to see one of those super giant sauropods in the film. And yeah, the dinosaurs were really well portrayed. I mean, the T-Rex, the mated pair of T-Rex in particular, were wonderful to see. And it was a breath of fresh air to hear them making sounds that did not sound reminiscent of Jurassic Park. The models that were used for these dinosaurs were somewhat similar, especially in regards to the head shape, to those seen in the T-Rexes of Jurassic Park. But honestly, overall, I liked these Tyrannosaurus in Primitive War a lot better. They really felt more like real animals that were trying to defend their nests, trying to defend their young, and they sounded so much better. I mean, none of those overly used sounds from the Jurassic franchise made it into this movie. Not one bit. And I loved that. I mean, the dinosaurs sounded as terrifying as they looked. And I mean, this was a movie that made feathered dinosaurs actually look and feel scary. I mean, wow. Just wow. Especially the Utah Raptors. I mean, when they were running through the dark and through the rain of the Vietnamese jungle, the Utah Raptors, especially Cyclops, were absolutely terrifying. I mean, yeah, there were some clips that, some dialogue clips that were right out of the book, like, like Vulture Squad saying, "way too smart for a bird," when they were referring to the Utah Raptors and how they were trying to find their way into the research station to attack Vulture Squad and kill them. And yeah, it just felt so intense, just so much action, and there really was not much of a break in that action, except where it was absolutely necessary to showcase what the characters were going through and what they were having to deal with as they fought these dinosaurs in the jungle. It just really worked well. And yeah, the dinosaurs felt real. They felt they just felt fantastic. I mean, I'm having trouble forming words with how much I loved the portrayal of the dinosaurs. And yeah, it's absolutely fantastic what was done. Now, in regards to plot differences, There were a few things that I would like to note that were either cut for time or because they didn't mesh well with the film version. Among other things, the river scene where the dinosaur stampede occurs was changed. The Triceratops getting chased by the Caprosuchus was, of course, replaced by Spinosaurus. And Logan's death was replaced by him getting eaten by Deinonychus rather than Caprosuchus. So that is one thing of note that was definitely changed. The stampede of Stygimoloch, the armored herbivorous dinosaur that is essentially the is believed by some to be the same animal as Pachycephalosaurus. That was completely cut out. In fact, Stygimoloch was the one dinosaur from the book that didn't really appear in the film at all. I'm not entirely sure why, but maybe it was cut out for time, maybe it was cut out for just being not dangerous enough. I don't know. But either way, it wasn't really a bothersome change. I mean, I understand if they did it to save time or because they couldn't portray them accurately. But either way, that scene where the Deinonychus stampede the Stygimoloch was cut out. There were also a couple of other scenes that were changed. I mean, for example, the Dogs of War attacking Jericho's base was completely retconned for the movie, and Jericho himself was never captured in the movie where he was in the books. Again, as I mentioned earlier, Borodin's death was changed. The character of Andre Wynn was again replaced by his female counterpart, Sophia Wagner, which I would also like to mention, I think, was a great way of putting a female character in the movie when there were otherwise not really any female characters of note in major roles. I mean, in the book, there's only one female character named Susan Wolcott, and her role is very minor. She only serves as a catalyst for one of the characters, Leon, in regards to taking revenge against Borodin's forces when she's killed. But yeah, having Tricia Helfer play Sophia Wagner and have her fill the role that Andre has in the book, that was an interesting change, and I quite liked it for the film franchise. One of the other things I should note that was changed was also the end result. The end result of the movie. The ending scene was all these dinosaurs migrating out of the valley and starting to make their way through the different areas of Vietnam. And that was very interesting in and of itself. Yeah, I mean, for example, you got to see things like a Suchomimus, which was not present in the first book, but is in Primitive War 2, Animus Infernal. But at the same time, yeah, seeing these dinosaurs and hearing authority figures talk about them in the aftermath of what happens at the end of the film, as these dinosaurs are migrating out of the different areas, is pretty interesting. Also, the final battle was itself very interesting as well. I mean, instead of escaping out the roof hatch for the building that housed the collider and the Russian compound, Vulture Squad actually made it out through one of through one of the subterranean tunnels until they reached the helicopters, and there was a huge gunfight against the swarming at least 100 Utah raptors, as well as an entire flock of Quetzalcoatlus. And that was really intense. I mean, wow, that was like majorly impressive. And yeah, I definitely I definitely think that was such a cool scene. It was, yeah, it was chaotic, it was brutal, it was just amazing, and it was really well done. Yeah, but yeah, it was definitely an amazing movie, and I really, really enjoyed watching it. And again, as I said before, my dad loved it, and I have now gotten him hooked on Primitive War. And now that the movie is over, now that the movie has been seen, I'm going to be able to get back to him in regards to reading more of the book to him, so that he can understand and compare the differences between them himself, because he has not. We haven't finished it yet. I mean, I've read the book multiple times, but this will be his first time actually hearing it, and then hopefully I'll be able to continue that with the next 3 books in the series: The Hunting of Stalker Force, The Psalms of Geppetto-Tech, and then Primitive War 2. But yeah, I absolutely love this film. It was, in my opinion, it is better than any of the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World franchise. I mean, it's right up there with Jurassic Park itself. It's tied for first place with it in regards to one of the best dinosaur movies I've ever seen. And it does what Jurassic Park was not willing to do. It was willing to make dinosaurs not only scary, but to show them being brutal, predatory animals in regards to the carnivores amongst the dinosaurs in the valley. I mean, they really did a good job. Really, really, really good job. And I honestly can tell you straight up that when this movie comes out onto home video systems of any sort, I am definitely getting the DVD. And if the soundtrack comes out to it, I am getting that soundtrack because it is that good. I really, really look forward to when that movie comes out on DVD. I am getting it. And yeah, I'm going to share it whenever I have company, because I want them to see this movie. I want them to understand just how amazing this film really is if they don't get to see the movie in the theaters. So, that's my thoughts on it. Now, one of the things I would also like to say before we end this video is that I also am interested in doing a voice-acted reading of the Primitive War novel itself. And yeah, if we can get to 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, I am definitely going to do it for anyone who's willing to listen. And yeah, if you enjoy that, yeah, I'll do it. But yeah, I'd like to have about 1,000 people subscribe before we can hit that milestone. But if you enjoyed this video, please also remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you want to see more content like this. I love sharing content about Primitive War and the Inheritance Cycle and any other books and films that I might cover on this channel, such as Fragment by Warren Fahey or the Dragon Slayer Codex by Sawyer Lee. And I do enjoy sharing that all with you, and the more people like them, the more the algorithm will show them off to people who are interested in books like these and films like these and TV series like these, so that I can continue discussing and analyzing them so you can better understand them. But yeah, that's one of my goals. And if you're willing to join me in this journey, I'd very much appreciate it. And I appreciate all the attention you guys give my videos. I genuinely am very thankful for it. And I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for tuning in to listen. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so very, very much. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night or whenever you decide to watch this video. Thank you for listening. Good night, everyone.